In my last video, we spoke about planning and organizing so our homemaking process would get easier and efficient. On this note, planning meals can be quite tricky at times because I'm sure there are days where we just don't feel like cooking, and just the thought of the elaborate process would make us miserable. My aim when it comes to cooking meals is to make sure that the food is wholesome, nutritious, and of course delicious. For lunch today, I'm making this Kerala style beetroot stir fry, which is called as Beetroot Thoran. And I'm also making a Madras style chicken curry, which is a family recipe and has a classic South Indian flavor. And to finish off, I'll show you a super quick and easy coconut milk pudding. So do stay until the end. When it comes to cooking, I'm actually quite a lazy cook. But thanks to my family, I actually do have some amazing recipes which are super quick and easy and allows me to get done in the kitchen in no time. For all my vegetarian friends who still watch my videos with all the non-veg dominated recipes and don't complain, thank you so much. We actually eat non-veg at least thrice a week as we want to complete our protein requirements, and this seems to be like the easiest way. But I'm going to try and incorporate as many vegetarian recipes as I can in my coming videos. A few of you actually asked me to share some tips on how I manage to keep my kitchen clean always. The honest answer is that it is never always clean. However, there are certain things that I follow which makes the cleaning process more efficient. For example, I always use a bowl to collect vegetable scraps. This way the countertop does not get dirty and I can just empty the bowl directly into the bin at one go. I also always place a kitchen towel below my utensils during the process of meal prepping, so it's easier to clean the countertop once you're done and then wash the cloth later on. Like I mentioned, my family has been a treasure source of easy and delicious recipes. And this Madras chicken curry is one such. It's kind of like a one-pot recipe, and the cooking time is greatly reduced by the use of the pressure cooker. Also, you just have one pot to wash. Let's just talk a little bit about productivity today. What does productivity actually mean to you? For me, productivity is all about making the most of my day. And not just because I have to get things done by following a timetable, because during these times especially, it just doesn't work. I have personally tried this and failed miserably at it, where I kind of made a timetable for myself saying I would wake up at this time, I would exercise at this time, I would have breakfast at a particular time and finish cooking and cleaning by this time. While it's a great practice to follow for routine-oriented people, it might not work for most others. More often than not, it left me feeling really stressed out, as even though I wanted to get those things done, it felt like I was forcing myself to do them, rather than being motivated to do it. And I felt so pressurized to stick to the timetable, and I kept beating myself down on the days that I failed at it, and not being able to check things off of my list. That's when I realized that this is really not something that's working for me. So I sat myself down and decided to experiment with just slowing down and going with the flow. So the next day, when I woke up to my alarm, instead of rushing around to complete my morning routine, I just stayed in bed for a little longer, stretched a little bit, and took my time. I did not work out at that time that I intended to, but instead decided to do things at my own pace. And honestly, each day is different from the other these days. But somehow, I didn't feel a stress associated with the routine. But yet, I managed to get all the things accomplished through the day, and I feel as productive as I could have been while following a checklist. And now it's become a part of me. And there are days where I don't want to exercise in the morning. Those days I would do it in the evening. And there are some days where I wouldn't do it at all. And it's really okay. It's not the end of the world if you couldn't get your task list done today or you didn't meet deadlines today. The important thing is to stay in sync with your body and your mind and just listen to them sometimes, because that in turn is going to nurture your soul. We live in a chaotic and extremely fast-paced world. And most of our days are actually spent doing monotonous, repetitive, and ordinary things. I know a lot of friends who tell me every other day that they are extremely depressed because they cannot take vacations or do something out of the ordinary. I guess to some extent this was getting to me as well. But when I finally learned to slow down and learn to live in the present, I realized that there was actually so much goodness in the ordinary. Sometimes God allows you to stay in the midst of a storm for a while. Not because He hates you, no. It is just to show you that sometimes you need not wait for the storm to get over to find your peace. He wants to show you that He is capable of giving you peace right in the midst of the storm, if you would just trust Him. And you know the beauty of it is all that you need to do is to be still. Don't sway in the chaos and let your mind run haywire. Instead, slow down, be present, and take it one day at a time. Being productive doesn't mean that you have to finish every item on your checklist. It just means that you should feel satisfied, grateful, and at peace every night before you go to bed, even if you haven't really achieved anything at all that day. You are always worthy in the sight of the Lord, and you don't have to bear the burden of proving your worth to Him, because He already knows how precious you are. I could finally find pleasure in staying home and enjoying the ordinary everyday things without the fear of missing out. And I sincerely hope that you will too. Thank you so much for staying all the way to the end and watching with me. If you do try out any of these recipes, please let me know in the comments below how it turned out.